Hello friends, I'm Nita, and today's video is all about my quarter one reading recap. It is absolutely insane to me that we're already one quarter into 2026. Like, what do you mean that we're already in springtime and like summer is just like right around the corner? It is insane how fast this year is going by. But that also means that we have quite a bit of books to talk about in today's video, which is always a good thing. So we're gonna get into everything that happened during the first quarter of my reading year. We're gonna go into some stats. We're gonna be talking about my favorite books, my least favorite books. We're gonna do a goal check-in because that's very much important. We need to make sure that we're sticking with our goals. But let's go ahead and get started with my stats. At the moment, I've read a total of 25 books. I feel like 25 is like a very solid number. I am very content with it. Could I have read more? I mean, sure, we could have always read more books, but I don't know. I feel like I'm definitely in a very good spot with my reading where I'm picking up books more often, but I'm also being very selective with what I pick up. Definitely picking up more books that I want to read, not just books that I think are going to help me get to my reading goal faster or anything like that. I'm very much just like sitting down and thinking, what do I want to read? And that's what I pick up. That's why I also started to not make TBRs that much during this year. I feel like I set a TBR for January. I'm not 100% sure if I did one for February, but for March, I did not set a TBR. I just read what I wanted when I wanted to read it. And for this quarter, I also read a total of 8,406 pages. 100% of the books that I read for this quarter were fiction. I would like to change that moving forward. I feel like I definitely need to incorporate at least like one or two nonfiction books here and there. Like, I do want to read more nonfiction. I used to be very much not a nonfiction person, but I have read a couple of nonfiction books that I've really enjoyed. I feel like I gravitate more towards like nonfiction books that teach me something. For example, like one of my favorite nonfiction books is All in Her Head by Elizabeth Coleman. And this book talks about the history of women's medicine. And I would definitely love to read more books like that. So I should definitely prioritize reading at least a few nonfiction books moving forward in the rest of the year. So hopefully I do get to that. And let's hope that next quarter I'm over here telling you that I at least read like one or two nonfiction books. But speaking of genres, my top genres were thriller, fantasy, mystery, literary fiction, and horror. I did not expect to have fantasy be on my top genres though, because I don't think I've read much fantasy. At least I don't think I have. At least like not in the way that I think of when I think of fantasy books. Like, I haven't read anything about like magical kingdoms or magic powers, at least not many. I don't think I have read a lot of like high fantasy, fae fantasy books lately. I actually thought that I read more horror books than fantasy books, but fantasy is like first on the list and horror, so I don't know. I don't know what's going on there. Apparently I have read more fantasy than I thought I did. And then moving on to my star ratings, this quarter I gave 1 star to a total of 2 books, which it's not bad. Definitely it's not bad. I think I've had other years where 1 stars were the majority of the stars that I gave out, unfortunately. So having only given 2 books 1 stars, I mean, I think that's definitely progress. I think that's not bad at all. And then moving on to 2 stars, however, I actually gave 7 books 2 stars this quarter, which it is a lot. It's definitely a lot. And then I've actually only given out 1 3 stars for the entire quarter. Like, that definitely surprised me because I usually give out 3 stars left and right. Like, that is my go-to rating when I read a book that I'm like, okay, this is fine, but it's not something that I'm gonna be completely obsessed with it. Like, I'm not gonna think about it often. I usually give it 3 stars, but in this first quarter, I only gave one 3-star, which is crazy to me. It's really crazy to me. I don't know what book that is, so I'm probably gonna put it on the screen somewhere, but at this moment I don't know what book I gave a 3-star. I'm like thinking about it, but I don't think I know which one it is. But then moving on to 4 stars, I also gave 7 books 4 stars, which also amazing. I mean, a 4-star book is like a very solid book to me. 4 stars for me are books that I highly enjoy, books that I would absolutely recommend, books that I would put on my favorite books list. Like, it's a really good book and something that I really enjoyed, but it's not like all consuming, you know. It's not a book that is going to completely change me as a person. Those books I gave out 5 stars, and this quarter I actually gave out 8 5-stars, which is phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. I've also had quite a bit of a lack of 5 stars the last couple of years, so definitely having a great time so far with my 5 stars. And then finally, the most important stat, at least for me, is the average rating. I feel like this definitely determines exactly how my reading is going so far. And for me, for this quarter, I'm so very much happy to say that I had an average rating of 3.48. I am not gonna lie, it is a little bit on the lower side because I could have, you know, had like a 3.6, 3.7. However, I am good with it. I've had months where my average rating was like a 2-star, which is like very much not great. So having it be like a 3 point anything, but especially almost a 3.5, I'm done with it. I'm happy with it. I am not complaining whatsoever. I feel like it is a pretty good average rating. And considering I did read like a lot of 4 and 5-star books this quarter, like I'm fine fine with it. I'm really, really glad that we got that average rating for this quarter. All right, so now it's time to check in on my goals for 2026. I feel like I have two that I really do want to keep track of every single quarter, and I want to make sure that I meet these goals before the end of this year. First of all, we have my 12 in 2026, and so far I've read 4 of them, which is not great, really. It is not bad. It is not bad, but it's not great. I feel like at the beginning of the year, I was just like very much going in and reading all the books from that list. I'm not 100% sure, but I think I read all 4 of these books during January. Actually, no, I think I read 3 in January and then 1 in February, and that's how I got my 4 books. Yeah. After that 4th book, I stopped reading books from that list, which it's not great because we're trying to complete it. Specifically, a book that I really want to read from there is like Catabasis. Of course, like I need to read that book, especially now that we actually have an announcement for the next RFCon book, which is Type A Story. By the way, if you didn't know, you know now. Like, I am so excited for that book. You have no idea. I just need to make sure that I read Catabasis before I read that one because I want to go into it like having read everything by that author. So I definitely need to read that. I also have the Riley Sager book, which I am blanking on the name right now, but I'm going to put it somewhere on the screen on Libby right now as an audiobook. So I could read that soon, but I have like 7 days left of the audiobook and I have other books that I'm currently reading. So I don't know if I'm going to get to it, but I will get to it before the end of the year anyways. So yeah, we have gotten through some books on that list, but I definitely have to get to actually reading more from there if I want to accomplish it by the end of the year. But so far, you know, it's just the first quarter. I'm gonna say we're doing great. I think we're doing great. And then the other goal that I have is actually my reading goal, and that is 50 books. And so far, like I said before, I've read a total of 25, which means that we are already 50% into our reading goal, and it is only the first quarter of the year. So we are doing fantastic. We're doing absolutely phenomenal. I definitely think that by the next quarterly update, this goal is going to be completed. I have a feeling that it will be. I have been reading so much because I have been utilizing audiobooks. That is definitely a little hack if you want to read more. Audiobooks are just like amazing whenever you do not have time to actually like sit down and read. You can, you know, put on your headphones and just listen to your book while you're like, you know, doing chores or running errands or doing pretty much anything else. You can still be reading a book. So that's definitely a good life hack if you're trying to read more. Moving on to my best books of the year, starting off with some honorable mentions. First off, we have The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna. This is a book that I gave 4 stars, but I really enjoyed it. I think that this is popular for a reason. It is actually a book that I read on one of my reading vlogs. So if you want to go check that out, I'll have it in the description. And I really did like the way that this book highlighted 2 versions of, you know, facing a very hard time. So I would definitely recommend you pick this up. Another honorable mention is Giovanni's Room by James Baldwin. This is another book that I gave 4 stars. The story was so emotional, so real. So definitely another book that I would highly recommend you pick up. So moving on to the books that I actually gave 5 stars during this quarter. Starting off, we have Before I Let Go and This Could Be Us, both by Kennedy Ryan. I am so serious. These 2 books have taken over my life. I feel like these 2 books are not my favorite romance books out there. Like, I love this book so much. If you're unfamiliar with these books, basically they are part of an interconnected standalone trilogy. In the first book, our main characters are actually divorced and they're trying to co-parent and, you know, live their life now that they're divorced. And it is an incredible story. It is a phenomenal story. It has very real like topics and characters, and it just deals with so many real life scenarios. I was so impressed with the writing, with the characters, with the development of the story. I just absolutely loved it, and I didn't think I could love a book more. And then I read This Could Be Us. I did, and I fell in love. Okay, I fell in love. Soledad is one of my favorite female main characters of all time. I love her so much, and I'm not just saying that because she's Puerto Rican, even though of course that definitely has a lot to do with it, but she is just an amazing character. I love her so much. Her story is insane. Like, this book is dramatic. So many things go on in this book. Like, you are not ready. But at the same time, it is so heartfelt and it is so emotional and it's just fantastic. It is absolutely fantastic. If you have not read this series, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing? Go pick it up right now. I cannot wait to read the last book in the series. I think it's called like Can't Get Enough. And I have a little feeling that that one is going to be my favorite one. I don't know why, but I feel like it's going to be even more amazing than the last 2, which is a lot to say. Again, I think it's going to be phenomenal. I think it's going to be 5 stars. Next up, we have The Ballad of Sunbursts and Snakes and Sunrise on the Reaping, both by Susan Collins. These ones are the prequels for the Hunger Games main trilogy. And at first, I didn't think that I was gonna like the first one, The Ballad of Sunbursts and Snakes, because I had already watched the movie before I read the book. So I was like, there's no way that I'm gonna like this book like that much. I'm gonna probably give it like a 3 star. You know, it's probably gonna be good because it was written by Susan Collins. Like, she is great. She's a great writer. But I didn't think that I was gonna love it as much as I did. Like, I gave it 5 stars. I loved that book. I think it was like a very necessary necessary book because it definitely like expanded the Hunger Games universe and you got to know characters in a much deeper level than you did before you read this book. Some people don't like them because they think it's gonna make you sympathize with Coriolanus Snow, but in my opinion, it absolutely does not. Like, I hate him even more. This book made me despise him even more than I do now. Like, he is not a great person in this book either, because we know that he's not a great person overall, but this book solidifies that. Like, this book makes you know that, yeah, he's like a very bad person. Like, we do not like him. We do not want him around here. So definitely recommend it. And then Sunrise on the Reaping. Sunrise on the Reaping. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about Sunrise on the Reaping. What was that? What was that? I'm gonna need Susan Collins to apologize to me. Like, I'm gonna need her to write down a letter of apology to me right now. Like, why would you do that to me? Like, why would you do that to me? I didn't need to read that. Like, I could have gone my whole life not knowing all those things, you know, not knowing that, and I would have been fine. But no, I had to go read it. And I knew it. I knew it was gonna be devastating because everybody says how devastating it is. Everybody talks about it. But I was like, how bad could it be? How bad could it be? I've already read the trilogy. I've already read Sunrise on the Reaping. How bad could it be? It is bad. It's bad. It's bad. It's not a good book. It's not, I mean, it is a good book. It's just like so devastating. It's so devastating. So many awful things happen in that book. Like, there's not a moment of peace, like from the very first page to the last page. So yeah, it is something that I would definitely recommend you pick up. It will devastate you, but you need to read it. Another book that I also gave 5 stars is La Transgresora que me habita by Carmen Minerva Ramos. I actually did not know anything about this book before I went to a book fair, and the author was actually like there with her book, and I picked it up because it sounded interesting. I really enjoyed this one. This was a phenomenal story about resilience and about fighting for your rights to just be, really fighting for your rights to be a person, to have your own will and feelings, and to be able to choose to do with your life whatever you want to do. I think it definitely resonated with me a lot more because it tells the story of a Puerto Rican woman living in Puerto Rico during some very like not great times, and we follow a main character who questions everything about society. Why can she not do something just because she's a girl? Why does she have to do this other thing just because she's a girl? Like, she should be able to do whatever she wants. And we see her not fight really. Like, she doesn't really fight for anything. She just lives her life, and everybody's just like horrified because she's living a simple life that she wants to live. This book is only in Spanish, so if you read in Spanish, definitely pick this up. It was phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. Next up, we have a short book, which is, I think, like barely 100 pages, and that is Animal Farm by George Orwell. I know that this book is like required reading in some places, but I had not read it. I had not read it before now, so I wasn't expecting anything before going into it. Like, I barely knew what the plot was about. And let me tell you, it is 100 pages, but it's such a powerful read. It's making such a big statement, and it's telling the reader this is what happens when we just like blindly follow people, when we don't question what's happening, when we just assume that things are like this because they've always been like this, so they should always be like this. And you know what's even more crazy and scary is that the messages in this book are so pertinent to what's happening in the world right now. Like, there were so many scary parallels in what was happening in the book and what is happening right now in the world. We're just living in such awful times, and this book just like shines a light on why those things happen, and it's just amazing. Definitely read it if you have not. Next up, we have another short book, and that is The River Has Roots by Amale Mortar. I actually just figured out that this is the same author of How to Lose a Time War. I think that's the name of the book, and I read that book and I gave it like 3 stars. I enjoyed it, but it wasn't like anything that I loved, you know. However, for this one, absolutely loved it. What an incredible novella. Like, are you kidding me? I actually read this book because you guys recommended it, because I have a little series going on my TikTok where I read books that you guys recommend to me. So I didn't know anything about this book. I haven't even heard of it before I went into it. So tell me why I was so freaking emotional at this book. I cried multiple times at this book. Like, I felt personally attacked by the things that happened. I could not believe that I was feeling so many emotions by a book that is like, again, barely 100 pages. How can a book that really does not have enough time or pages to develop a story just made me feel so many things? So yeah, definitely deserves a 5 stars. Definitely deserves a 5 stars. And then finally, the last best book of the quarter is Wings of Starlight by Alison Saft. I am the Tinkerbells movies #1 fan. Like, I love those movies. I have watched them since I was a little kid. I still watch them now that I'm an adult. I love them. I love Pixie Hollow. I love everything that has to do with the Tinkerbell world. And so when I saw this book at the store, I immediately had to get it. But did I immediately read it? No, because I didn't think that I was gonna love it as much as I did. I thought thought that I was gonna give it like 3 stars maybe, but no, this book was really good. This book was really good, okay? I don't know why I did not expect it to be as good as it was, because again, I love the Tinkerbell movies, and this book definitely has the same vibe. This is such a magical, cozy book. This follows the Queen of Pixie Hollow when she's younger. She's actually a queen in training, and we follow her love story with the Guardian of the Winter Woods. He's actually back here in the back cover of the book. So if you also really enjoyed the Tinkerbell movies growing up, you should read this right now. And actually there's a second book coming out in this series, and we follow Tinkerbell's sister. So I mean, I'm all down for it. I'm so excited. I cannot wait, because this one was really good. All right, so moving on now to my worst books of the quarter. I only had 2 1-star books, so of course we're going to talk about those because they were like the worst of the worst books that I read. But I also have quite a bit of 2 stars. I'm not gonna go through them all. I'm gonna put them on the screen so you can see them and you can see exactly what books I did not like during this quarter. But I'm just gonna go through a few books that I gave 2 stars that I was really not expecting to give this low of a rating. So starting off, we have the first book, the first book that I read in 2026, and that is Red Rising by Pierce Brown. I didn't really have like too many expectations going into this book, so I wasn't expecting it to be like one of my favorite books of all time, but I also wasn't expecting it to really not like it. So when I found myself really like bored with it and uninterested in the characters and in the story, I was like really surprised, because the plot of this book is so interesting, but the execution just like felt flat for me, and I just really did not enjoy this one. I'm still debating whether or not I'm going to continue on with the second one, because a lot of people do say that they didn't love this first one and that I still should read the second one, which is I think Golden Sun, but I don't know if I should. I really don't think that this is a series for me, so I think that I might not, but I'm still kind of debating it. And then also we have Jade City by Fonda Lee, another book that I really did think that I was gonna like, but I unfortunately did not. And I think that the same thing happened with this one, because I just found it very just like boring, really. Like I just was very uninterested in the characters and in the story, and I just found it very slow and like nothing went anywhere. I didn't really enjoy this one. So moving on to the 2 books that I gave a 1-star rating, starting off with The 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle by Stuart Turton. This is a book that I picked up as a whim, because like I said, I've been trying to read a lot more through audiobook, and so whenever I finish one, I try to start another one right away. I went through Libby and I went to see the books that were available right now, and this one was available, and I had heard people talk about it. I didn't remember if they liked it or not, but I knew that people were talking about it at least like a few years back. I've seen a few like booktubers talk about it, so I decided to give it a shot, and I really did not like this book. It was again so incredibly boring. The ending was so infuriating, like you have no idea. I was like wanting to reach into the audiobook and just like shake the characters and be like, what are you doing? What is going on? Why is this your decision? I don't know. I did not like this book whatsoever. So definitely a 1-star for me. Yeah. And then finally, a book that I actually recently read, and that is The Silent Woods by Kimmy Cunningham Grant. This book was supposed to be a thriller, but I did not find it very thrilling. Like I thought that it was quite slow for most of the time, and the only moments where I felt a little bit of a like uneasiness or like, you know, thrilling feelings or whatever were moments where I thought that the plot was going somewhere, and then I found out that that was actually not true and something else was happening, and I was just left there like, okay, that's what's happening. Like that's not great. Like that is not a great plot for a thriller. And I don't know, I didn't really enjoy this. I feel like it had a lot of weird tones, so I really wouldn't recommend you pick this up. I don't think it's worth your time. All right, so that's everything about my reading in the first quarter of 2026. I think I had a pretty good reading quarter. I feel like, you know, there were definitely high highs and low lows, but I think we're doing pretty good overall. I've definitely found new favorite authors and new favorite books, and I have gotten to some books that I've been meaning to get to for a little bit, so I really have no complaints. I think it's been a pretty good quarter. Let me know how your reading year is going by so far. I would love to know, you know, your favorite books, your least favorite books. So definitely let me know in the comments. I'm very interested to know how your year is going by so far. And that is everything that I had to talk about my reading quarter. So if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a thumbs up. And also, if you have not done so already, please don't forget to subscribe. I try to upload a bookish video at least once a week. So if that's something that interests you, please don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you in my next video.